Okay, so right now I'm basically grinding the Toji Formidable Battle event on auto, and I'm like, why not make the video now? So this is basically going to be my full speculation chart up until February of what units I'm expecting and for what roles. Now, this is also going to include content, SP buffs, standard banner updates, so we're going to discuss everything. So if you want a good idea of what we're going to get on JP, then kind of watch this video, and this is going to come to global probably from 2 months afterwards. Now, for example, November anniversary, it's very possible that for November, global and JP sync up. So this is going to be pretty important for you too. We discussed when I think we're going to get tower and all the good content. So we're going to start nice and easy with September and then go into it. And I'm going to make sure to pull up relevant information, but we're going to keep one other thing on, and let's pull this up. So I was not lying when I said I was going to refer to this a lot, but essentially we're missing a blue stat buffer, a blue damage increase debuffer, a yellow damage buffer, and besides that, more niche roles now we're missing would include a red SSR stat buffer and a green damage increase buffer. Besides that, if you really want to argue units that could get replaced would be maybe the blue stat buffer, but there's too many now. Like I don't even think they should do that because they're really good. Combo's insanely good and will be. Now, if you want to like make sub units, like for example, what I would kind of do is maybe a DPS unit that does like a bit of debuffing or support, maybe like a not green actually. I don't even think they should be touching green, to be honest, but like a red damage increase for debuffs, right? Maybe a blue damage buffer. We should definitely be getting a new blue damage buffer. And like maybe a mini yellow damage buffer, a mini yellow damage debuffer, right? So all these things they could do multiple times. So let's go into this and start with September. So of course, mid-month on September 12th, we got Megumi. Megumi is a tremendous unit. He is easily tier 0.5, but most likely from what I've been seeing and when I've used him, he's tier 0. Right now, there's not many use cases, but we're going to see him and how he performs in Sweep 2, which is coming out on the 18th, which is going to be very exciting. Now, Megumi, I just think he's tremendous. Like, his stat debuff is the highest in the game. And with Jujutsu allies, like someone like Nobara, it's literally 250%, right? Instead of 200, 250%, which is, for a stat debuff is insane, right? It's insane. Because you have to keep in mind, Jujutsu stats usually get the rec bit buff. And then also damage buffs or debuffs, right? They're additive, so it's like you could get so much, but stat debuffs, usually it's only one unit on your team doing that, and Megumi doing it for 250% is crazy. Now, mid-month, we're going to be getting the second floor to SP buffs. Now, for this, essentially, one of them is going to be for combos. So they did actually, it did say that it's going to be for the combo attack, which let me pull up translate. But if we go here, right here, we could essentially go check right now that English. All right, so basically it's gonna be increasing your combo attack, but there's gonna be a second one and 5 cursed energy, which that 5C is huge, extra stats. So this is gonna be very big for just a bunch of units, especially for tanking. Yellow Toji over time, oh dude, I can't wait, because his stats, especially if you get him dupe 2, is gonna be crazy, especially with this extra stage. Bro's not dying because he heals himself. Now, and I'm talking about Toji because I just finished using him. But we're also getting a new sweep boss. Now, keep in mind for this, what they describe it, some people are like, oh, what if they bring the tower nerfs into it? Now, is it possible? Yes. However, they describe it in a very specific way. Defeat the even stronger cursed spirits, get the new material. So it's a new difficulty level. So there's going to be difficulty 1 and then sweep 2. Now, what this means is that my guess is more damage, more HP on the enemies, probably more turn limit is what you could expect. So this might be a whole new shift in the meta, which I'm very excited for, because right now for red, for green, it's piss easy because there's so many good units. For yellow, if you have the right units, it's extremely easy too. And then blue is the only one suffering. So blue tower is almost back to being easy again, which is crazy. Now on the 23rd, we have the live stream. This should give us another roadmap because our roadmap right now is ending, right? The last thing we have confirmed for the roadmap is this. That's it. That's it. That's literally the end. Oh no, there is, oh wait, I forgot to add it. Oh, there's this. This is the only thing. We're gonna add it right now though. Yeah, we'll add it at the end of month. So let me put it right here. Just so it's there. So yeah, then we got that. But essentially, we got a roadmap, most likely. We should get original story announcements, maybe confirmation for the dates. We should get the end of month unit confirmed, which EOM means end of month. Okay, just going to say EOY is end of year, EOM is end of month. And we should probably get calling games info. Now, what I mean is that I'm not going to search it up because it was in January, which it's been a while. But essentially, in January, December, sometime around then, or November even, actually, I don't know, in the anniversary timeframe from last year, they confirmed that Shibuya arc would start in January. So it's very possible they do this. Now, keep in mind, I want to specify this before we go further. This is very, very important to talk about. Shibuya arc, why couldn't they do it right away? Why couldn't they do it right away? Right? That's the big thing. It's like, oh, they're going to wait for calling games. But no. The Shibuya arc, I think, ended 2 weeks after the game came out, or 2 weeks before, right? So how are you supposed to do Shibuya units and then afterwards release units like literally a green Yuji, Momo, right? How do you release these units and have them be hype if you go to Shibuya? Now we're pretty much caught up on Shibuya. If they do Shibuya for second anniversary, the calling game units will be hype. Shibuya is going to be hype, but essentially that first season of units could not compare to you wanting to summon for them if they knew Shibuya was going to be out. So of course they're not going to do Shibuya on launch. But guess what? We're in a point now. Shibuya units are hype. Calling games units are going to be hype. So they could easily drop calling games early next 2026 in January and be fine. I just want to preface by saying that because it's pretty important for sure. 100%. So now we know that. I'm going to guess roadmap should go to anniversary, and it's probably going to reveal any other content we're going to get. Because to be fair, right, the previous roadmap revealed sweep and then also the new event, right? We had a free-to-play unit. Like, it did reveal a good amount of things, if we're being completely honest. I think this one, too, will reveal a lot. I think it will. And also this is, I don't know, it's weird because like, why are they releasing, by the way, I don't get why they're releasing this before the stream. Like, maybe they're going to do a recap, but I would have rather find out and find the reveals out through the stream of the new units, because they're going to buff new units for their first SB probably, and also the second one. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. Now, end of month. Now, the two units, it could be a stat buffer or damage debuffer if it's like an OC. Maybe it's like they just do a reveal, right? Because obviously they should probably wait for the OCs for the story, but it's possible they just shit one out. But this is my meh kind of theory. However, because we know it's not a new unit, right? They basically, like, on the roadmap, they confirmed when there was a new unit. Last month, we got Naobito. That was saying new playable unit. This time, it didn't say that for September. So it's going to be someone we already got. But it's most likely going to be Shibuya, because this was Shibuya. So I'm going to guess end of month is Shibuya. And I'm putting my bets on Toto. Now, the main reason is because of this guy. Zonji with a Toto is going to be great, right? But more than that, Toto would be able to help out a Toji. Both of these units, both Toto and also Zonji, would make use... Sorry, both Toji and Zonji would make use of them. If he's a damage buffer, Toji needs this because Toji works better now and in the future. What is going to work better for tower floors? Buff floors, right? And floors where debuffs are nerfed, because he has his own taijutsu buff. So if you give him a damage buffer, guess what? You're going to be in business. And also, I put Black Flash, but I'd rather crit rate. So crit rate would indirectly buff Zonji's Black Flash rate, because crit rate does affect Black Flash rate from what I've understood. And then it would let Toji get crits more. Toji's crit damage is literally like it doubles his damage, but you barely get that. So a crit rate buffer is going to help both of them, a damage buffer. And if you really want to, a Black Flash damage buffer, you just don't want to like outright increase the Black Flash rate. Like maybe Toto could do everything, stun block, right? Crit rate, maybe crit damage, like just do everything. Be good for both Toji and Zonji, and I'm happy. Just be a damage buffer and stun block, and then after that, I don't give a fuck. If you're only for Zonji, that's fine. But if you damage buff, you're going to also help out Toji, which is the main thing. I really want this guy to get some help, and because like he could very easily be tremendous, but right now he's only good, right? So that's the thing. And then we get the domain investigation event. This should give us a lot of chaos crystals, which we need, because they're bringing a second floor, which means, to be fair, my logic is that if they gave us 2 times domain investigation, they're giving us an event which is specifically to get more of the SSR crystals. So to me, it's like, oh, the SP2 is going to take more chaos crystals to level up to max, which means they are going to increase more skills, right? For example, Green Nanami could maybe have his skill 2 buffed, right? What if they give him crit damage buff for like 40% on his skill 2? Suddenly, the skill 2 now, and it basically makes his whole kit way better, because he's going to almost have like triple damage, right, on his skill 3, which is going to be insane. So if they give him a crit damage buff for his skill 2, that could be insane. But yeah, I think a yellow total makes perfect sense to me. I really do think so. Now, let's go into October. And this is my thoughts. So October, we don't know the dates, right? We don't know the dates. I only put the dates that we knew here. But after this point, we don't know the dates. However, there's going to be a theatrical rerun of the movie on the 17th. And I realized something that my stupid ass, like dead ass never saw. If guys, like this is crazy. This is actually like crazy levels of foreshadowing. It's not even funny. Look at the characters on the
graphics.
Does it look familiar? These are all units we've gotten besides JJK 0 Gojo. So whenever we get, without a doubt, whenever we get JJK 0 again, it's most likely going to have JJK 0 Gojo. However, we should also be getting Shibuya Chapter 13, which is when Nobara should be dying. So Nobara getting a sub DPS damage increase debuffer is going to be huge for Blue. Because keep in mind, Blue needs that, right? Blue does need that. If we check here, Blue does need that. And, well, guess what? What Nobara are we missing? We have yellow, we have green, we have red, we're missing blue. So I think a blue sub-DPS Nobara that gives damage increase debuff, where it's like every nail stack, like imagine she applies her nails like regular, but every nail stack increases the enemy's damage taken by 30%, up to like 300%. That could be fucking ridiculous. So Nobara has a very high skill cap, or like kit-wise, like she could be very good. However, if they do a Gojo, he could be like, maybe like tier 0.5, but he could be tier 0.5 in both taijutsu and jujutsu. So how they could do it, because a lot of units now, what they're doing, which I think JJK 0 Gojo could be breaking the mold, is like for Megumi, and also you'll see for T Nanami, right? Units like this, even Naobito, right? These units, what they have is mixed damage, right? However, I'm not saying that. I'm saying Gojo, kind of like the original Blue Gojo, actually. Yeah, so basically he'd have one skill that's Jujutsu and one skill that's Taijutsu. That's how I see it. That's how I see they could do this Blue Gojo. And then, yeah, I mean, it makes sense because he does red and he also beats up Miguel. So I think it's possible. Now, could we get SP buffs? Yes. Is it going to happen? Probably not. I see one of these two getting a unit next month. And it's just that, like, I didn't even know he was there. But because he's there, I really think it's going to be this Gojo. But if not, we're going to get Nobara. And end of month, it could be Nobara. But my two main options, which, thank you to Joshin. I'm going to put his a link down below to his channel, but this is his art. Very cool. Not official art. It's not like a manga panel. It's not a spoiler, by the way. It's literally like a fake leak, right? So keep that in mind. Kusakabe, it's just cool art, so I wanted to put it. So I'm thinking, because it's the start date of Shibuya Incident, this is guaranteed to be a Shibuya unit. So my top options are Black Flash Mahito, because I think he could be pretty hype, for Taijutsu Red, and then afterwards a stat buffer for Blue. And keep in mind, I do want to go over some things. So yellow, I don't think we're going to be getting a Taijutsu DPS in a while. It's going to be a Jujutsu DPS. Blue, I definitely think it's possible, right? I think it's possible, but I put it for another unit for Blue personally. And then afterwards, red, I mean, it's definitely possible, right? Now, I also think it's very possible because Megumi gives a mini extra buff to Jujutsu allies, where he gives an extra 50% only to Jujutsu damage received. So it's very possible that this is like, okay, Jujutsu won't be getting a new unit, so we're going to give Jujutsu a little help while we give Taijutsu Red a new unit. And it would be a Black Flash unit. That would be so hype, I'm not going to lie. And this makes it so that after Mahito comes out, they could easily buff Red Yuji without having to worry because Mahito's out. So I think this is going to be what's happening. You might be like, oh, he's going to be free. No, because Choso was a curse and he was sold, right? So it's going to be a gacha unit. So I think that the three options for end of month are these three right here. That's my thoughts. So this month we get probably a rerun of the units of the JJK 0, maybe SP buffs. Probably going to be getting JJK 0 Gojo if it is JJK 0 this month. Then we're probably going to get either Mahito or Kusakabe. I really hope it's Kusakabe. And this is important. People are like, oh, but stat buffer cannot be a DPS. Well, what about Blue Momo, who's a damage buffer, who's a support that doesn't do damage, right? And this is I'm gonna make my point. What about Red Nanami, who's a damage buffer who doesn't do damage or much damage, right? What about Green Momo, who's the same thing, doesn't do damage but is a damage buffer? Oh wait, but then there's Teen Nanami, who's a sub DPS. So Kusakabe could very easily be a sub DPS while being a stat buffer. Okay, they just have to break the mold, right? It's just that it just so happened that the two Shokos were stat buffers. But what other roles do you give them, right? Didn't matter if it was a damage buffer, like it wouldn't have changed anything. So they could do whatever the fuck they want. Kusakabe could be a sub DPS while being a stat buffer. That's my thoughts. Personally, the optimal ideal month is probably going to be Gojo with Kusakabe for me. Double blue would be very hype. But yeah, like whatever they decide to do, these could also be units later, right? Nobara could end up being later or something like that. But I think this is how it's going to be personally. Now, then for November. So November isn't really going to have much if we're being real besides units, but mid-month is probably going to be when we're going to get anniversary start. My thoughts is going to be Sukuna. So yeah, we have Toji, we have Zonji, right? That's cool. But we don't really have like a great yellow besides Tinjo, which at this point, guys, he's going to be a year and a half old by the time Sukuna would release. So I definitely think it's time for him to start being power crept, at least a bit. Like it's just the name of the game, right? Not much to say besides that. I do think it's very possible, and it's going to be cool. Like there's going to be a kind of a thing going with Sukuna's having dots, which I think that is honestly going to be quite neat. He's going to have his Fuga dot. He's going to be a great Jujutsu DPS, and also this is because one of the floors has what's it called, the burn increase for yellow. So I think that would make sense for it to be Sukuna. More so, red. Well, I guess red doesn't have a Jujutsu DPS, so Sukuna could be yellow or red. I just want to put that out there. Even with what I said, Sukuna could be yellow or red. He can't be blue. And green, please no. Yellow, why I think yellow makes more sense though is because Zonji's there. So it makes it so that you can't do dual DPS comps like Zonji and Sukuna in certain floors, right? Maybe early game or even for something, I don't know, like a sweep, right? So I really don't know. I'm just saying like it kind of discourages this double DPS comp, right? For Sukuna and Yuji. So that's kind of my thoughts. That's my thoughts. Now, for end of month part 2, I could see either Utahime, Uraume, sorry. It started with you, okay, it started with you. So, Uraume in the anime did an RCT, so should have good heals. AoE freeze, because it was good against wide range. And then also, probably should be a DPS or sub DPS. Blue or yellow, if it was yellow, that'd be cool. I think blue would make more sense. But because blue needs a lot of help, but no matter what they do, I'm fine with that. And then Kenjaku, right? Good cursed energy regen, should seal because like of seal and Gojo. Idle transfiguration probably is my guess, and a debuffer. So I don't really know the exact details of what I'd want, but that's my thoughts. It could definitely be red, but I think red is too easy, so we're gonna have to get more details on that. And then we should get Shibuya chapter 14, which is the end, the final Shibuya chapter. We only have 2 Shibuya chapters left, so it makes sense that they're gonna wrap it up. And to me, this feels kind of like wrapping it up. And you might be like, oh, but we're missing a unit and technically 2. December, end of year, I think it's going to be Maharaga. Now, could it be 0.2 domain Gojo? Sure. But if it is, then we have to get rid of JJK 0 Gojo here, which is, it makes sense, right? It does make sense. It's possible. But it could be JJK 0 Gojo. And if so, that's kind of my thoughts on why it's going to be Maharaga. And this also plays into why JJK 0 is perfectly timed to be in October. Because guess what? Now we have limited reruns, which they actually take a while to do, right? Like they take a good amount of time. Look at this. In 1.5 ANNI, in June, we had on the 11th Domain Gojo, and then afterwards in July we had Sukuna. Like they literally had Domain Gojo kind of carry us for such a long time in terms of reruns, and then we had Sukuna and Zonji was here, so they like doing reruns. I think they could take some time during and also dedicate the early part of December to reruns. And I think Tower 81 to 100 is going to come out here because by this point sweep should probably be obsolete almost again. It should definitely be easy by December, right? Because we'd have 3 months including power creep and new stats, and then afterwards we're going to get Tower 81 to 100. That's my thoughts. And end of year, we get Maharaga, which he has his own nullification buff, which I think is actually going to be very good, right? I actually think it's going to be quite good. So it's called Adaptation, which recover every 4 turns, recover HP, remove debuff, remove abnormal status, immune to certain skills, then slowly gain resistance if this character keeps receiving an effect to a certain buff, debuff, and normal status and damage reduction. So like you can't be stunned afterwards. So yeah, like at a certain point you're just going to be immune to stuns and shit like that. So that's going to be huge. Should be taijutsu because bro was throwing hands, so he should be pretty good. Now if it's not end of year Maharaga, it's probably going to be Gojo, but like I said, these units are interchangeable. So Sukuna could be end of year, Uraume could be end of year, Kinjaku could be end of year, Maharaga could be end of year, and then 0.2 domain Gojo, which is a blue, should be a blue taijutsu DPS, should be end of year. So yeah, that's it for 2025. This is the end of 2025. So this is my personal thoughts. If you see a lot of blue, I mean, it makes sense. I think yellow and blue are the ones that need the most help. Yellow's fine. It's mainly just stun block, which as you can see, that's what Toto's there for. But with sweep, we could definitely see some different things. I just want to do this before sweep and also before the live stream because I want to see how much I'm right with and how much I'm wrong with in terms of when we're going to be getting content. Now, if they do new types of content, it's very possible, but I won't know. So for right now, I'm kind of just basing it with tower and sweep. So we get sweep in September and then tower in December. Maybe even November would be fine. I would rather November, but I feel like they're going to be assholes and do it in December. But we should get confirmation if there is tower here because there should be a roadmap. And this is my personal 2025 list. However, let's continue. In January, I think we're going to get a Utah because early to mid-month is when the anime should start. And I could see them doing a Utah in the early to mid-month for Utah. And I don't know what color he's going to be, what he's going to do exactly. He should be Jujutsu though. Maybe a Taijutsu and Jujutsu. We'll see. But all I know is that this is going to be a from the Yuji extermination arc, right? Not from the Culling games necessarily, but the early episodes. So they could do 2 to 3 more Utahs in the CG arc. And yeah, I think this is going to be good. I don't think they're going to do too many more units, which I write in February, but I do think it's going to happen that we're going to get at least one Culling games unit to celebrate the beginning of Culling games. Because like I said, thing with Shibuya, right, is that Shibuya would have overhyped everything else. Because guys, we were getting units like Red Yuji, right? And then if we go to February, Kamo and Momo and Renobar, you think people would have summoned on these units at the launch if there was Shibuya units? No, that's the thing. In terms of hype, they had to go in increasing order because if they didn't do that, then the earlier units would have not been hype. And that's the biggest problem with the fact that like people are like, oh, but Shibuya took so long to come out. There's a big difference in Shibuya and Culling games because of the time frame of when Phantom Parade released. And now we're in a part where it's like the game and Culling games is coming out at the same time, right? And for the whole time, right? Culling Games is releasing the whole time during Shibuya, during the, like, Culling Games is releasing while the service of JJK Phantom Parade's up. And keep in mind, the Shibuya chapter should be ending, like, Shibuya arc in the story, in game, should be ending in December, or November or December, right? So keep that in mind. Very important to keep in mind. And then standard banner updates should be from Mai to Shoko. So let's go through that. That would include Mai. Oh, wrong month. Sorry, September. So it would be Mai, Inumaki, Green Nobara and Green Megumi, Yellow Kaido. Then we skip forward to January because everything else was limited. We got Green Miwa, and then we got Green Mekamaru, and then it should finish off in February with Red Inumaki and Yellow Shoko. However, if it's not Yellow Shoko ending, it's going to be Muta ending. So one of those two, that's the units. Then we should get a EOM unit, which considering I don't know what it's going to be. I genuinely don't. I just don't. This brings us to February, which I think part 2 OC story starts in either February or January, but we're going to see on the 23rd, and I'm going to revamp this on the 23rd. So I'm probably going to make an updated one in October. Now I said we're going to be slowly fed Culling games units. So they're going to have some at the start, and then when part 1 ends, they're going to slowly bring out all of them. So around April, and then after 2.5 ANNI is probably when we're going to be really going in, and then afterwards April is perfect timing because then the Culling games should come back probably end 2026 or 2027. So there's going to be content for like JJK fans to have for Culling games in between the parts, which is why I think it's going to work this way. Now I just don't really care for the rest. Like I'm not trying to predict all this. I'm just trying to predict the next part. Like the next roadmap should be very telling for what exactly we're getting next year. But since we don't have access to that, obviously I'm just doing this year for fun. But in May, this is my perfect anniversary. If I'm being honest, this is probably the most hype you could get. 120% probably would be Ultimate Mahito, and then Toto Yuji. So Yuji hitting his black flashes, Toto being the amazing support, and this would be like a new, because keep in mind, if we get yellow Toto is obviously going to be a based ass support for Zonji. But then guess what? The next Toto we're getting is green, and the next Toto we should get is 120%, because this is in the fight inside like the station, but this is outside. So my thoughts is that Toto here should really kind of be going crazy and be an amazing support for green Yuji, and this green Yuji should be an insane black flash unit, right? And then Mahito should be ultimate Mahito, and then I'm saying yellow or blue because I'm saying this one's red, and then we have a green Mahito. So that kind of is everything, right? If you want to check it slowly, I mean, I did all that, but that basically is everything. Personally, I really hope, like, if you want my dream schedule, it would be yellow Toto, probably either or for this. Actually, yeah, either or. Then I would want Kusakabe. Then I would want Sukuna. Then for part 2, I would really want Uraume. And then, oh, dude, I just thought of something. And then for end of year, I would love Maharaga. And then Yuta, obviously. Now, guys, if they save Kenjaku, guys, they could do like a celebration or an anniversary whenever they want. A duel, well, not a duel, but like they have a 0.2 domain Gojo and a Kenjaku. Like that could release next year. Like that could deadass be in 2026 for 2.5 or 3rd anniversary. I think either or would work. No one would complain, right? But I think Culling Games kind of impedes on that. But I think they could definitely save Kenjaku and 0.2 domain Gojo for a separate anniversary. If that's 3rd anniversary, I'm not complaining. If it's not Culling Games, I'm not complaining personally. That would be so hype. It would genuinely be so hype. But yeah, the only problem with making anniversaries, the only like really hype time is that like you lose out, because JJK now is like mainly hype, right? We have like 5 anniversary contenders, actually 8 if we count these 3. So it's like that's just from Shibuya art. Culling Games, like every unit from Culling Games is anniversary worthy, so I don't really know what's going to go on with that, but we'll see. Anyway, this is my overall predictions. What I filled out with this, let me show. So blue stat buffer Kusakabe, yellow damage buffer Toto, and then blue damage increase debuffer Nobara, right? And then we could probably get other units, but I don't know. I don't think we're going to be getting green because they're so ahead every other color. It's not even funny at all. The minute it's a Jujutsu floor, like you're just winning, easy mode. And then even green is easy now with Choso. It's so funny, man. So, or Taijutsu is easy, I should say. So yeah, that's going to be it. We got 6 more days until we should, or 5 until we get the reveal of the buff units. And then afterwards, we should get this confirmed on the 18th. Besides that, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.